Alright, so we got another one rolled into the shop for another restore here. This one I'm going to try to combine all the videos into one, just have one longer video instead of 2 or 3 videos. And I've done so many of these tractors, they're basically all the same that, I mean, showing you take the frame and everything apart, I have other videos on that. So I'm just going to probably get this taken apart off camera, and then I'll show you it taken apart, and then I'll start reassembling it, you know, after it's all sanded down and wire wheeled stuff ready for paint kind of a deal. The engine, because it is a ST12, is a 12 horse Tecum, so this is actually out of a different one. This turns over, has good compression. Well, it ain't going to have compression now, the head's just sitting on it. But this ignition, believe it or not, has spark. This wire is shot. I'm hoping it just sits down in there, and there's like a little like thing that sticks up, and the wire just pushes on that I can just replace the whole wire. Otherwise, I'm going to have to splice into this somehow, because this is not nearly long enough to get into that plug. I wrapped up the end here a little bit and just stuck the plug through it, and I turn it over with the drill, and it does have spark, so that's good. Oil on it seems pretty good. It's fairly clean if I remember right. Yeah, it's pretty clean. So this engine should be pretty good for this tractor. It has a straight pipe on it, which will have to go because that's too loud. So I'll take this apart. Hopefully from here to here comes apart. And then I'll just put a regular muffler on there. Got a brand new carburetor, just a cheapie off Amazon for that. And then that engine should be pretty much ready to go back in after it's painted. Now back to the tractor itself. It's going to need front tires. Those are completely shot, as basically always it seems like. Back tires, those are in good shape. This one holds air. This one holds air. So there's a win right there. Now this is supposed to have a big black heavy-duty seat spring with a plastic gas tank under there. But as you can see, it doesn't have that. This is just sitting on there. Actually, it's kind of bolted down. This has one of them steering wheels that's going to break into a million pieces when I go to take it off, so count on replacing that. Dash is all busted, but I do have some fiberglass resin and mesh stuff to fill these holes in and hopefully fix that fairly decent. I see somebody else already tried fixing the choke with a piece of rubber and it pulled through. Has an hour meter, which somebody would have added on that you cannot read. The voltmeter is missing. Let's take this hood off. Let's see what underneath here looks like. So we have this little rubber thing, which is going to be a little bent up because it's been sitting like that for however many years. We've got part of the air cleaner down there. An old air filter that is definitely, maybe, probably not so good. Got a side cover, this side cover, missing a pulley, that's unfortunate. Let's see how the clutch moves. Well, that gets stuck. That doesn't really matter because that's going to get all taken apart anyway. Transmission, that shifts, so that's better than not shifting, I guess. High and low shifts, so that's good. I'll spin it over by hand once I take that out. So yeah, that'll be an overview of this. I'm going to get this taken apart, and I'll show you that once I get it all taken apart. Alright, so I got it taken apart. I got to cut like that bolt off and a couple other little bolts that wouldn't just come out. They were just spinning. That's a carriage bolt, so I couldn't get a good grip on the other side. It was just spinning, so I'll cut that off with the angle grinder. The main bolt holding that front axle on, that's actually rusted in on the axle itself. So without getting hurt, it's not really worth taking that apart. So I'm going to leave that. I'll sand everything down, or I guess wire wheel everything down. And then I'll paint the axle black first, and then I'll paint the yellow frame. You just have to tape the axle off. A bunch of other stuff just kind of scattered here. I'll clean this up probably tomorrow. Because right now, I'm actually going to switch out the engine on this Sears 12.6 I turned into a roper in the last couple of videos. And I actually finished doing the video on this yesterday. I actually finished this tractor yesterday. But you guys are going to see this video in a couple weeks from me talking right now. And I went last night, and Harbor Freight had these Predator 224 engines on sale. So I picked up 2 of them because that's what they had and there was no limit. So I just bought both. These were like $138 or something like that is what they cost, which is the same price I paid for that engine. I'm not real happy with that thing. That's just some generic engine I got off Amazon. It was cheap. When I say cheap, it was cheaply made. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to take one of these and I'm going to toss in there because it does have a motor deck on it. You know, it wouldn't hurt to have a little bit better of an engine, a little bit more power, slightly more power. So I'm going to work on that here, and then hopefully by then that rain you could probably hear in the background will stop, and then I can go out and see if this actually works. And then I'll probably give you an update on that later on in this video on how this actually turns out. Otherwise, I'm going to start getting this stuff ready for paint, and I'll come back and give you another update. Alright, so doing some work on the frame. I did do some wire wheeling on it. It really doesn't look like it, but I did. I just kind of sanded it down a little bit. You know, it's already yellow, and it's going to still be yellow, so it doesn't have to be perfect. In fact, you're actually kind of better off leaving some paint still there, just as kind of like a base coat kind of a deal. At least that's what I'm going to go with. So this is the wire that was coming out of the ignition coil, and I noticed it was kind of loose in there. So I just pulled it out, hoping for the best that I wasn't actually going to wreck anything. And this just shoves in there, just like a normal, you know, ignition would. So I'm like, well, that's pretty cool. So basically, I took this plug wire here off of who knows what. I cut the other end off, so it's just a normal wire. And I just shoved it down in there. Now down in this little hole that's the same size as the wire, there's actually like a little metal pin that sticks up. And that pierces into the end of the wire, which is how you get your connection. Now, it actually has pretty good spark now if I can get this to stay like that. And then spin this flywheel over with a drill. Or not. It's really wanting to show you this, but it's probably going to keep falling. It was perfectly fine until I went and picked up the camera. See, there's a little bit of a spark there. So yeah, that's a pretty decent spark considering I wasn't spinning it very fast with the drill. So yeah, there you go. That's how you replace a messed up spark plug wire on a Tecumseh ignition coil. I'm going to now work on probably painting this engine. I still got to wire wheel this engine shroud. I forgot to do that yesterday when I did the frame and everything. And then I got to work on, you know, painting up all these little brackets and doodads and the firewall and, you know, little things like that. And then I'll probably paint up the hubs and stuff on this transmission as well. Clean that up a little bit. You know, get this exhaust off, little things like that. And then I'll come back. And the next time you see this, it should be painted. Alright, so like I was mentioning before, I was going to show you when it was all painted. And I started getting the frame put together. Not very thorough in this video because I've done so many other tractors that I've just like, you know, I almost didn't even make this a video. But yeah, here we are with the frame. Next thing I'm going to do is put the transmission in, and then I'll stick those rear tires that came on it back on it just for now until I either figure out some other ones or just use those. The front tires that were on this were junk, so I might just use a jack to roll it around for now. And then I'll probably stick the engine in there, and then we'll kind of go from there. So I'll just walk around this side real quick, and then I'll get the transmission engine put in, and then we'll see what happens from there. Alright, so I made some progress on it. Of course, I got the transmission put in. Both rear tires just on there just so I can roll it around. I got the engine just bolted in there. No front tires yet, so I have a jack just under the front. And I'm working on the gas tank right now. And the hose barb was actually ripped off, because normally the hose barbs on these are plastic and they're molded in with the tank when they made these. So that was ripped off, and actually somebody else has already fixed it. They put this little rubber thing in there and then shoved this little plastic part, here it is, inside of that, and then that I'm sure leaked pretty bad. But anyway, that was broken a second time. So this is a 1/4 inch hose barb to 1/4 inch pipe thread, which 1/4 inch pipe thread is actually bigger than a 1/4 inch. It's 1/4 inch inside diameter. This is 1/4 inch, this part that I'm actually touching. Kind of confusing. Anyway, the 1/4 inch pipe thread just happened to thread right into that hole that was already there. And I put some RTV silicone around this, I don't know, wash that's about 1.5 inch diameter. And then ram that down in there. And then just simply just put a bunch more around it, and that should seal it up fine. I did something similar to this before, and it fixed it. So, and then I've got the seat over here. This is just a low profile seat, ST12, so they don't have the high back seat. So I'm gonna let that dry for a few hours, and then I'll stick that on here with the fuel line, run that up, probably just to about right here where the filter goes, and then I'll actually run it through the side of the fan shroud, because there's actually a little hole here for the fuel line to run through. Once as that fan shroud actually goes on, which I have to weld together the clutch pedal rod, because I cut that to take it out. So too bad I didn't do that. before putting the engine in, that would have been a lot easier. But yeah, I had to cut this. So that has to be welded back together. There's the other part. So I might sand this down with something like maybe I'll wire wheel it and then put that on there, and then I'll have to, I don't know, brush paint that or something. But yeah, I'm going to come back once I get some more progress done on this, and then hopefully before too long we can actually hear this engine run. Alright, so I made a bunch of progress on it. I can't even remember what the last thing was that I showed you, but anyway, I think the seat's on it now, the fuel tank, that little back panel with the lights on it. I did some very, very basic wiring, basically just enough that the engine will start and it'll charge the battery. I have my booster down there, which that's just basically a car battery on an old pressure washer stand with a battery disconnect, because I'm done buying them little handheld ones that only last 6 months. So I have that just stuck on the spark plug, because that's like the only thing on here that's bare metal, and then the positive just clamped on that. I don't know why this negative one ain't working. I don't have the correct exhaust, so I just shoved this on there, threaded in so it works. I did already have this running. I'll start it for you here in a minute. It runs really good. So I got this fuel pump here rigged up. It doesn't have the original one because I did put a new carburetor on it. These carburetors are like 10 bucks on Amazon now. They lowered the price. I do have to bolt this down now. I see that. So this is just sitting there. The shroud must be for a starter generator one, because I had to drill holes to bolt this thing on here, and I just put little bolts sticking out so that doesn't rub the flywheel teeth. It does charge the battery. It was run idling. It was getting like 14.5 volts. You know, at idle. Kind of crazy, actually. Normally these barely get, 12. So last time I had this running, it started without a choke or anything, but let's see if that makes me a liar, or is it going to do it again? Yeah, it started. Can't believe it. Running like 10 minutes, or it was like 10 minutes before last time it running. Still no choke to start, so that's pretty cool. But of course I'll have to monkey around with that carburetor later on, because I'm sure it's going to need more adjusting, because that's how these work. Now this linkage here, this ain't like the correct wire or something. I know I've made these before, but this just seems really thin, and it's kind of goofed up there. It's too hot for me to really play with it right now. But I did grab down here where the throttle cable hooks up, and it was like either idle or like wide open throttle, like 5,000 RPM. There was no like, 3,600, 3,200 that's supposed to be. There was no like halfway in between, anything nice. It's basically just idle or floored. So I have to do something probably with a screw here. I already was kind of playing with it a little bit, but I'm like, well, you know what? That's probably enough for now. The engine's warm, so I don't want to keep touching it. But I'm going to shut the camera off again and come back probably when that dash is fixed, because I got to do some fiberglass resin to this. Fiberglass resin and mesh stuff to keep this from getting any worse. Re-support the inside with that. It's like a cloth kind of stuff. Lay that down in here. Hopefully we can save this dash. Otherwise I'm going to have to find a different one. And figure out some front tires. I have rims but no tires. I'll probably paint the rims, get it just about done, and I'll show you from there on what it'll look like. So I thought I'd give you another update on it. I did get the dash and hood and everything painted. Basically everything for this is all done. But I just wanted to show you the dash. I'm working on brush painting this right now, and I decided, I kind of wanted to show you this before painting over everything. So there's a big hole here, and then in this corner underneath the paint, you can tell it's just about gone. I mean, you got to kind of look for it. And then there's big holes underneath here where the bolts actually attach it. I only have one in the front. I don't think I'm going to add one in the back, because I don't want to put too much stress on this, because it is supported on the inside with some fiberglass resin and mesh, but I don't want to pull it too tight, if you know what I mean. So I'm going to just do that one on each side and call that good. This is just riveted through there. Doesn't look that great because you got this metal thing just riveted to the side on each side, but I guess it's better than nothing. And then you do have this little metal plate here, because there was a hole here that I couldn't get filled in, so I just put that over it. Hopefully with the hood and everything on here kind of distracts from this dash being so bad. What I should have done is just took the rest of the sheet metal and just measured the diameter of the dash folded some tabs over on the end and just made my own dash, you know, like riveted together or welded it together and just make a new dash from scratch like I've done before. That's what I should have did, but I like the original looks of these better instead of, oh, somebody homemade that dash. All right, well, anyway, I'm going to get this done, probably get the hood and stuff on, and come back and give you another progress update. All right, well, we're out back here, way in the middle of the backyard. The shop's way up there. So that can only mean one of two things. Either it broke down or I'm out of gas. No, just kidding. I actually just shut it off, and I just wanted to show you it back here. It starts up and runs pretty good, it seems like. The throttle is a little weird on this. If you bring it up from idle really slowly, it doesn't even come off idle. But if you like ram it up real fast, then it will rev up. So I don't know, I got some more adjusting to do on that. It was all kind of messed up on the governor linkage on the engine itself, but I'll monkey with that some more, I'm sure, some other time. This exhaust, I guess I could have probably went straight out instead of angled down, because it does have a cutout here. I could have had the shaker can muffler come about right here, you know, and it would have been fine. I wouldn't have to have angled it down like that, but I guess it is what it is. I could always just change that out. Now, I was showing you before this taillight panel, that's original paint, and of course this is my repaint. Notice how that looks almost the same. Yeah, I guess that really does actually match. That matches really good. Got a little bit of rust on that, but I guess that's whatever. So yeah, it turned out pretty decent. You know, this dash kind of bothers me. It does kind of suck I installed it crooked. As you can see, there's less here than here, but it is what it is. This is a replacement steering wheel. The other one broke because these steering wheels are 100% plastic other than a little metal insert here where it attaches. So it's just a matter of time till it breaks. This one here, I had to drill a hole through the steering column and just shove a bolt through there. And then now we have a steering wheel, so that worked out. Turf tires, I really wanted factory Sears tires on this, but I was looking through the collection. There's nothing I wanted to take tires off to make all that work. So it is what it is. Charging system does work with the amp meter, so that's pretty cool. Lights don't work because I didn't hook them up. Completely forgot about those until I was ready to come out here. So yeah, that is going to be it for this one. I'll probably end the video here with a little bit more pictures on this and maybe a video of it driving. And yeah, thanks for watching.